Hey everybody, your realtor Ron here with your April newsletter update. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of our family here. We love doing what we do and we love doing it for you. So, this month, what are we talking about? Well, I've been seeing some national headlines and some discussion. Interest rates are rising, buyers are heading to a buyer's market, inventory is rising, it's going to be a buyer's market. All this kind of talk about we're heading into a buyer's market. Even some national brokerage firms and newsletter reports out there are trying to stoke the fires of the buyers, saying that it's a buyer's market. Well, the answer is yes and no. Okay. In some markets, we are entering a buyer's market. And by some markets, I mean not Massachusetts, not New Hampshire. I'm talking primarily places like Florida, second home markets, communities that were hit hard by weather, like hurricanes that had been happening, areas that are experiencing incredible high insurance rate premium increases, where they can't get buyers to buy the homes and the inventory is mounting. But what I want to talk about is what defines a buyer's market and a seller's market or a normal market. What are the characteristics? How do you know when you're in one, when you're moving towards one, right? So I've done some data research. We're going to go over that in a second. But down here, you'll see the key characteristics, right? You know you're in a seller's market when there is less than 4 months supply of inventory, very low inventory overall, faster days to the offer happening, less than 30 days usually, multiple offers on properties happening at the same time. And those offers are typically at or over the asking price, very close to the asking price. And buyers are waiving contingencies and things to get their offers accepted. That's the keynote characteristics of a seller's market. What's a neutral market or a normal market? Well, that's 4 to 6 months of supply. Okay, that's considered stable inventory. It's typically 30 to 45 days to put an offer in place, and there's usually one offer in place, one buyer at the table, so to say, where there's kind of no one is really in control of the negotiation. There's a generous back and forth. There's an equal sharing in the pain, more of a win-win kind of transaction, right? Now, for a buyer's market, this is where you get deep into inventory, right? Being very high, dozens and dozens and dozens of choices for a buyer at any given time, more than 6 months of inventory, much slower days to offer. When I used to sell property during the last buyer's market, sometimes homes would sit on the market 6 months to a year trying to get a buyer to buy the home. The negotiation process was much more difficult for sellers back then. Buyers were in complete control on price and terms and home repairs and such. And, frankly, unless you priced your home ahead of the declining market, you were in a negative position on the negotiation end as a seller. So those are the keynote characteristics, right? Less than 4 months for a seller's market, 4 to 6 months of inventory for a normal neutral market, 6 months and beyond for a buyer's market. So let's see where we're at right now in Massachusetts. This data up here is for single family and condominium combined. In 2025, right now, if you and I went shopping, there's 8,176 homes to buy. We're typically selling at this point in time 3,154 homes a month. Simple math tells us that is 2.59 months supply of inventory, which means at the current sales rate, well, how many homes we have available, it would take 2.59 months to sell them all. That is a seller's market, right? Now, to bring this number up to a 4 to 5 month supply, right? To get into a normal market, we would need a lot more homes, right? Well, what about a buyer's market? If you wanted to know how to get to a 6 month supply of inventory at the current sales rate, we would need 2.3 times the current amount of inventory. We would need 18,924 homes on the market right now at the current sales rate to get a 6 month supply of inventory. Conversely, if we lost 56% of the buyer demand, if we were only selling 1,363 homes a month and we kept that same 8,000-ish homes available, then that would be a 6 month supply of inventory. So either the sales rates have to fall dramatically, 56%, or inventory would have to climb 2.3 times the amount we have now. to get us to a buyer's market here in Massachusetts, right? So you can see that we're in a seller's market. Let's just look at some other dates for comparison now. In 2019, what most consider the last typical real market before COVID, before low interest rates, before different economic factors changing. 2019, we at this point in time we had almost 14,000 homes and condos to go by. We were selling more homes per month, and we were still in a seller's market, neutral to seller's market, 3.4 month supply of inventory. Go back to 2015. We are at this point coming out of that recession. We have 18,000 homes to buy. We have about 3,300 sales a month. We are neutral to a buyer's market. We're coming out of the buyer's market into a neutral market at that time, 5.4 month supply. Here's the big buyer's market, 2010. That's that very base of that recession from 2008 to 2012. 32,737 homes to go by. About 3,100 homes being sold per month, which, by the way, almost identical to right now, right? So the amount of buyers buying now is almost identical to back in 2010, right? The only difference is there's less homes to buy nowadays, right? But look at that months of inventory, 10.5 months supply of inventory. Clearly a buyer's market. And then 2005, the final year, about the final year before the first crash in '07, right? 23,853 homes to buy, 4,300 sales happening a month, neutral market to a buyer's market, almost 6 months supply, but we were moving from that seller's market of the early 2000s into that crash period, '07, '08. So we were going from neutral to buyer at that point, right? So now hopefully you understand the big differences. So when you're reading articles, you're seeing news reports, we are so far away from a buyer's market in Massachusetts that really nothing to worry about as a seller. Um, and we have to go to a neutral market before we can go to a buyer's market. Okay. So beyond that, we got 5 great events happening in May coming up. Check the newsletter for that. And our community spotlight this month is the Haverhill Hometown Heroes event. This is a wonderful program where they honor local veterans. And this year, first responders are now involved as well. So if you've got a hero or a first responder you want to honor, check out the links below. Get a banner to support them. The banner stays up pretty much all summer long. There's a beautiful Memorial Day or the Thursday before Memorial Day ceremony to honor them. And it's the 5th year running. And if you're not from Haverhill, check out your local towns. They likely have a program like this running. And if they don't, maybe you should start one. It's a great way to bring some community spirit back to your town and honor those who have served and support and protect us all. So beyond that, enjoy spring, and we'll see you next month. Thanks.